big announcement today, or at least broken story by Woj about the NBA's MVP. And for the second straight year, it is Nikola Jokic winning the MVP. The Denver Nuggets do-it-all center, and I do mean do-it-all. Basically a point center. Brings the ball.
He has
up
the
court.
ball in his hand, right, all the time.
Yeah, terrific player. He was my vote last year for MVP. This year, I had him third on my ballot. I'm an official voter. I had Giannis first, Joel Embiid second, and Nikola Jokic third. And Rob, a big part of why I had him third, they were the 6th seed. And I get it. The wins and losses were close. You know, everybody was a lot of teams were around 50 wins. So it wasn't like their record was much worse than other teams. Boston won 51 games, Milwaukee 51. I voted for Giannis, they won 51. Philadelphia 51. And Denver won 48. But they were the 6th seed in the West. And that matters to me. The only time I voted for a 6th seed or anything close to that, a guy that low, was when Westbrook won the MVP in 2017 because he averaged a triple-double. I felt like that was an iconic achievement. We never thought it would be done. All the great all-around players we've seen, Rob, LeBron James, Magic Johnson, Jason Kidd, none of them ever did it. And none of them thought they could do it. And so when Westbrook did it, I thought that was incredible. But a lot of people would say the numbers Jokic put up, first with 2,000 points, 1,000 rebounds, 500 assists. Rob G, are those the numbers? First player ever with those numbers. Had the highest PER, player efficiency rating ever. Higher than Wilt, Jordan, LeBron ever had. And so people gave him the I'm not surprised. I don't think you are either, Rob. We could see that a lot of the writers, the younger ones particularly, are influenced by analytics. And so that's who they voted for, even though he was a 6th seed.
And the other thing, too, and this is where I am. If he wins it, right, he won it the year before, Chris, and he had better numbers this year. I just didn't see how in the world he wasn't going to win it again. But
you didn't think he should have won it, right?
No. I would have voted for Embiid because of what he had to go through and what he had to manufacture without his second star, and it was a while before Harden got there. He held the ship together. He had a great season. He had 30 points, led the league in scoring. You know what I mean? He had a lot of things that I really, really liked. But I'm not surprised at all. But I would have voted for Embiid. But Jokic winning it does not shock me for one bit.
Yeah, I think, the justification for the numbers, and last year they were the 3rd seed. So even though he had better numbers this year, to me, again, they were the 3rd seed last year and only the 6th seed this year.
But there was a lot of injuries too. You know what I mean? Like I'm not.
Well, he
I'm not
definitely had. Yeah, he was without his 2 best second and third best players, Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. So look, I'm not up in arms about him winning it.
Some people are. Some people think it's the end of the world, Chris. Oh, the writers. Oh, the writers. Yeah, I mean,
Nick Wright
yeah.
thinks it's the end of the world.
Nick Wrong.
Are some players doing that?
I've just heard. Who did I hear? From what is this? What is the podcast? Up in Smoke.
Oh yeah, Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson.
Steven Jackson. I saw a video of him saying that the top 75 players should vote and not the writers. It's always an anti-writer thing. Whenever people don't get to vote and we're ruining the game, and
did
guys
he go
who
that
never
far? Was that the enough is enough video?
Yeah,
I didn't watch it, but I saw
guys who never made a basket or voting, and the same old that we always hear, and I think it's misguided. I really do.
Rob, it is. We've said it before, and we'll say it again. It is absolutely misguided, and any time, whether it's Stack, whether it's Matt Barnes, whether it's Vince Carter, whether it's whoever, whatever former player or current player, we can stack up the voting between media and players and see which one you like better.
And you will be embarrassed to see what the voting is coming from players because they're biased. It's a popularity contest. They don't like people, Chris.
Yep.
We saw it. We talked about first time. Yeah, right. Oh, I ain't voting for him no matter what. And that's why leave it to the writers. Okay, you're not happy with it, but the writers do a better job. We don't have a horse in the race, Chris. We don't.
Absolutely. And to give you quickly, because people might not know exactly what we're talking about, Rob, but a few years ago when they started letting players have a vote for the All-Star team, the NBA All-Star team, more than 120 didn't vote for LeBron James. And more than that didn't vote for Kevin Durant.
It was like almost 150. It was like 150.
Your vote is taken. I mean, serious. LeBron James and Kevin Durant should have been on every ballot.
And an all-star game, Chris, an exhibition. Those are two of the best players in the league. How in the world did 150 people not vote for Kevin Durant? Or 120 for LeBron? And you're sitting here.
It's a joke.
Right, talking about, oh, well, the writers, they didn't play in the league. They shouldn't vote. And Chris, you said it the last time an MVP won it when the what was it? A losing team?
Well, Kareem won it as playing for a team
that didn't even make the playoffs.
See, players used to vote, Rob. Players used to vote up until 1980. Right. 80, 81 was the first year, I believe, that the media voted. And since then, only once or twice now 3 times with Jokic. 3 times has a player from a team that won 50 games or less won the award, in a full season. And it was Moses Malone in the very first year, 81, and then Russell Westbrook with the triple-double year and Jokic this year. But when players were voting, Rob, Bob McAdoo won it. I believe his team had a losing record that year.
Right.
Kareem won it when they didn't make the playoffs. And so it's just like, again, we'll put it up against any player vote, media vote. The media are far less biased than the players.
One other point I want to make when they talk about the baseball writers, Chris. The baseball writers came up with the awards and baseball adopted them. They're our awards. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like Cy Young and all that. That was started by the baseball writers, not by baseball. So when people say, oh, take the vote, no, those are our awards. They just chose to recognize them because they rather have
it's
impartial. Right.
Look, all these awards just heighten the game. They really do. Like, at the end of the day, guys, these are just guys playing a sport that a lot of people play. But the coverage, they're obviously better than everybody. They play it at a higher level, of course. But it's the coverage, it's the analysis, it's shows like this, TV shows, talking about it constantly, comparing who's better, who's worse, who's the GOAT, making people make picking all-star teams, picking all league teams. All of that is what makes it so big. And so players benefit from that. And it makes the game bigger. It makes their money bigger. And we benefit too. I'm not going to act like we don't. It creates jobs,
Yep.
And so we're all working together, even though we're not on the same team. We're just objective people covering it and reporting. But there's no doubt, Rob, the media is more objective. Let me say this, too.
It doesn't mean that we're always right, Chris.
Right,
and we don't,
absolutely.
That's not what we're saying. We're just saying you got a better shot at getting an objective vote
that's right.
with the writers than the players. That's all
Absolutely.
I'm saying.
No question about it. Let me ask you this, Rob. Do you think, because I don't know how they do it for baseball. I imagine it's the same. With basketball, although they do, I think, have a character clause, right, with baseball?
Yeah, it's in there.
Yeah, basketball, they give you no criteria for MVP. I'm not a Hall of Fame voter, so I don't know what they do for that. But for postseason awards, there's no criteria. And so do you think, I think it's good this way
No.
Because you have so many voters and, different guys have different views. But I assume they all mean well. They all cover the game for a living and they do it thoroughly. And it also leads to a lot of great conversation, Rob. You know what I mean? Like debates on who should be the MVP, what should go into it.
That's what sparks the game and gets people interested, Chris. You're in a barber shop or you're at the airport or, we're talking to some guys in a sports bar. And that conversation about that is what drives people to think about the game, to talk about the game, to care. You want fans to care who's the MVP, right? Who's getting in the Hall of Fame. That should matter.
Right.
If it's like, I don't know, whatever, I don't care.
Right. Then no doubt. All this recording, and Rob, I'm gonna say this, and look, I think sometimes baseball writers go overboard with their, caretakers of the game, and
I agree with you, even as a baseball writer, I do. Yes. And you remember on the Hall of Fame broadcast when I was on MLB Network, I said we got it wrong that night. You know what I mean? I said it. We got it wrong. Right.
Yeah, and I think some of them go too far. However, Rob, this record keeping, this brings the games and the sports to another level. It really does. It makes them larger than life. So ultimately, that's good for the players. But yeah, Rob, I agree with you. I don't think they need to create a criteria. There were times when I thought maybe they should.
Nah.
But I like it now the way it is. I've come to appreciate that. But I'll say this, Rob, because the reason Jokic won is because we all know about the impact analytics is having on sports now. And a lot of these younger writers, when you're a beat writer, you tend to get a vote, okay? And a lot of these younger writers coming up, Rob, are guys that really are into the analytics. And their votes are swayed by analytics. And analytically, Jokic's numbers were off the charts. A precursor, Rob, a predecessor of the analytics was they had the IBM award in the 80s and 90s. And the IBM, the computer company, they would have, the league would name its MVP. And then the IBM would have its MVP based solely
off of
on
numbers. Right, not knowing who it is. Right.
Nothing else. And David Robinson would win it more often than not. He won more than anybody. Do you think David Robinson was really the MVP that many times? No. You can't just base it on numbers. There's a lot of other things that you need to consider. And so that's what I would say. I don't want it to get to a point, Rob, where it is strictly about numbers. And I brought this up. Let me confirm this if I can quickly. Bob McAdoo did win the MVP in 1975, the 74-75 season.
What was he, Buffalo? Was he playing in the Buffalo Braves?
If I can find that, I'm having a little trouble with my computer.
Okay.
Yeah, he was with the Buffalo Braves. Gosh, sorry about this. But I believe they did not, let's see, 74-75 Buffalo Braves. Okay, they did have a winning record. They went out in the first round. They were 49-33. Okay. And McAdoo was the MVP. But so 1 year though, Kareem won it without making the playoffs when the players were voting.